What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. My name is Adam. I am your host. This is the Hobby News Daily Morning Minute. Today is Monday, December 25th, and Merry Christmas to anyone who's celebrating Christmas. Also, shout out to everybody else celebrating other holidays. I hope everybody's having a great holiday season. We got New Year's coming up. We got Christmas, obviously, today. I don't really have that much, honestly. I probably won't talk about any news on today's podcast. This is probably going to be short and sweet, if I'm going to be completely honest, because with it being Christmas. Also, just want to shout out anybody listening to the podcast on Christmas. You're a real one. I really obviously appreciate that. Thank you so much. So here it is. I just want to give a message out to people within the sports card community that whenever I'm on Hobby Hotline, I always try to say this, and I don't know. It's something that I feel like I've tried to live by these words throughout my time within sports cards. I'm sure there's times where I've slipped up or said something a certain way, but there's just always going to be new people coming into sports cards. And I know that some people don't want to hear that. They want this to be their thing. They don't want other people to know about their thing. It's like sometimes when you know about an indie rock band or something, or I don't know, any indie band or some sort of indie artist, and other people start hearing about the artist, you get a little bit jealous because you're like, I knew about them before anybody. I listened to their first couple songs that they ever put out. I think sports cards is kind of similar, and I think people can get a little jaded when it comes to new people coming in because they want sports cards to be their thing. So my message here on this holiday is to just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself and allow other people to... Actually, maybe there's actually... now that I'm saying a lot of... There's a couple messages. Enjoy yourself. Allow other people to enjoy the cards the way that they want to. And if they come to you, if you're a creator or a content creator, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram, and they have a question, just answer the question to the best of your ability. And I know, like I said, I'm sure I've slipped up in the past and gotten snippy with people that ask questions that are new, but it's like, at some point, we were all those people who didn't have the answers to the questions that we want to about the thing that we all love. And I think that's the whole point, is just like, we enjoy this hobby, we enjoy sports cards, and we need to try and allow others to enjoy it. In a different way, maybe. Sometimes in a different way. Sometimes and this is the other crazy thing. It's like somebody could love sports cards the same exact way that you love sports cards. And this is my holiday message to everybody, is allow people to enjoy sports cards and the hobby however they want. If you don't like something about cards, just let it go. I don't know. And if you listen to the show, I get worked up sometimes. So, that's definitely hard for me. But it's like, if you're on Twitter or you're on Instagram and you're leaving hate comments, just don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it for you. It's not going to make you feel better. It's not going to make the other person feel better. It's none of these things. So in these, like I said, this is going to be a short episode. I'll kind of wrap it up here, to be completely honest. In these holiday times, understand that not everybody is enjoying the holidays the same way that you are. Some people are going through a rough time with the holidays, so just if there's a fight or something, you just know that it's not the fight. This is the thing. It's the fight or the argument is never about the thing. It's about something else that's going on. So if you're arguing, again, I don't know. I don't want to give advice here, but it's like, if you're getting into an argument with someone on the internet, just know that you don't know that person, and your time is much more worth trying to make that person feel a little bit better than it is to argue with them. And know that over the internet, it's impossible to really gauge context and to gauge the tone of what people are saying because everyone's just typing. So, it's Christmas. Regular episodes will be back tomorrow. I hope that you enjoyed my Christmas message. I guess I'm like I said, I had a lot to say, I had a little bit to say here. So, like I said, thank you everybody for listening. Thank you everyone who has listened this whole entire year. The podcast has been so amazing, and I want to give a shout out to Danny, who has given me such a great platform here to do the podcast. And then Mike Jokum also, who was me and him were the original co-hosts of the podcast. And I want to give a shout out to him. I try, and anytime I talk about the podcast on other platforms, I always try to make sure that I include him, because he was such an integral part of the launch of the podcast. So I want to give a shout out to them. I want to give a shout out to all the listeners, all the people engaging on Twitter, on social media, all of these things. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Coming off of Christmas, yeah, the news cycle is a little slow when it comes to sports cards. There isn't, I don't know, I'm sure there's other stuff that I could reach for. I am reaching a little bit with this topic. I didn't talk about it when it happened, like either, it might have been over the weekend actually, or it might have been the day or two before the weekend started. But so the Dodgers signed Yamamoto, who is the pitcher from Japan, who was rumored to go to basically every single team. And it's always so funny, like the baseball news cycle, any big team that has a lot of money, any free agent is rumored to go there at some point. But so now the Dodgers signed, they signed Ohtani, and then they signed this other guy. And I guess maybe the thing that I'm thinking about is, like, with Ohtani, and this may be, I don't know if this is a hot take or if this is something that I'm going to, in 5 years from now, I'm going to look like an idiot. But I just don't see, like, if you're buying Ohtani, you can't, there's no way. I just don't see how his card prices really could go much higher than they are now, if I'm going to be completely honest. Like, and I'm wondering, in a market where prices have fluctuated pretty significantly over the past few years, like, where's the ceiling for some of these players and price-wise? Because, performance-wise, with Ohtani, for example, like, he could go on and be, like, he's already won an MVP. Sure, he hasn't won a World Series or whatever, but, he's won MVP. He's broken pitching and batting records that were previously owned by Babe Ruth. So it's like he is doing all the things on the field. He is a superstar on the field. He has all the endorsements off the field. He just signed a almost $1 billion contract with the Dodgers, who it's crazy that the Dodgers have spent this much money, and I guess it's encouraging, but it's also discouraging, because it's encouraging that a team is going out and they're willing to spend this amount of money on players. It's a little bit discouraging because you look at any free agent who potentially could have signed with maybe a smaller market team, and the Dodgers are just being like, yeah, we'll just pay for every big free agent, basically. They'll pay for anybody. They paid for, like, a crazy amount of players over this past offseason. Like, I think it was something like it was $1.5 billion they spent on contracts, which that's the total of all of the years on all these contracts. And again, the Ohtani contract, I don't know if it's 100% been approved yet. I know that there was some controversy where they were trying to defer the contract. Like, they would give him $2 million for the next 10 years, and then like $30 million for the next 10 after that, or 60. I don't remember exactly the numbers, but actually it must have been, I think it might have been 60. I don't remember the exact numbers, but they're trying to defer some of the money so that way the Dodgers could go out and pay for other free agents, which is crazy. And I think Yamamoto, great signing. I mean, one of the star players, on the Japan World Baseball Classic team. I know he was kind of rumored to maybe come to the Red Sox. Same with Ohtani, because we signed the big player from Japan last year. I forget. Gosh, he's a Red Sox player. Masahiro, I think. I'm gonna look it up really quickly. Red Sox Japanese player. No, Yoshida. Sorry, oh gosh, it's so embarrassing that the Red Sox are so pathetic that it's like I don't even know half the players on the team. Like they're really. I'm not gonna get into that. That's maybe a whole another podcast, and I'm not gonna rant about how pathetic the Red Sox are, or what's going on there. But so the Dodgers, like I said, Ohtani was maybe rumored to come here because of that, and then also Yamamoto was then also rumored to come here because of Yoshida, because they both played on the World Baseball Classic team last year when Japan beat the USA, which in the it would have been cool somehow if maybe Ohtani had stayed with the Angels and him and Trout won a World Series, and then we look back, or something along the lines of like if they had won the World Series last year. I think that would have been really cool, because like, Ohtani strikes out Trout in the last at bat of the World Baseball Classic. That's such an iconic sports moment. That's going to be probably like, if I'm going to be honest, that's probably going to be like the Muhammad Ali, like where he's like he knocked that guy out and he's standing over the top of him and he's like, yeah, whatever. That's probably going to be another iconic sports moment like that. But when it comes for Ohtani, I don't see how his prices could go much higher. Like, I think they could fluctuate during the season, because it always happens where just in general the market fluctuates. But over the long term, I think soon probably we're going to hit a point where Ohtani's card prices, they've just hit a peak, because it's just like, he's like Luka, he's like players in the NBA where all of their card prices are really inflated because of the way that the championships, the things that should affect sports cards, or the things that the things that should have that did affect sports cards a couple, like 5 years ago probably, those things are already baked into these card prices for Ohtani, for example. If you're really looking to get into Ohtani, I mean, I would go with his like card from Japan, like his 2013. He has like I forget the name of it, but if you look up 2013 Ohtani card, there is like a card that he was on his team in Japan, and that's the card I would definitely buy. I probably wouldn't buy any of his like rookie stuff from Topps, because that's from a year that I don't even think we really have conceptualized the increase in volume in cards that specific year. And I don't think I think we're seeing it in how many cards are graded by PSA. And if you can go to eBay, you can see that there's just hundreds and thousands of auctions for these specific cards. But I really don't think, honestly, we have fully contextualized what happened between 2017 and then 2018 in terms of how much they increased the print run. Obviously, 2018 to 2019, they increased it. But I think like there's going to be somehow, I don't know how these numbers come out, there's going to be some sort of astronomical number that comes out when you look at the two difference in prices here. So like I said, I've reached a little bit. I want to talk about some news. As we get back into it, we're going to get hopefully some juicy topics coming up this next week. But as of now, Ohtani, I probably wouldn't be buying him, but at the same time, if you want to buy him and hold him for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe now is a good time, because maybe he does go on to win championships. Maybe he does go on to win multiple MVPs with the Dodgers. It's really only time will tell, unfortunately, within sports cards. But I think unless he does all of these things, there's just no way that his card prices could be higher than what they are now. ComC definitely does some good content when it comes to their, putting out of information about like which cards are selling on their platform. Like, I feel like I wish that Golden might do this. Like, I mean, and honestly, like, ComC is probably one of the bigger platforms that really could put out this info. Like, I guess eBay could potentially do it, but like, I'm sure eBay has bigger things that they're working on rather than like just looking up cards that have sold. So they came out with, like I said last week, their top 5 for each sport. So I'm going to go through. And I guess I'll start with baseball. I mean, it should be fairly obvious who was at the top of that list. It was Shohei Ohtani, then Mike Trout, Ronald Acuna, Aaron Judge, Bryce Harper. I don't think there was really any surprises there. I mean, I think, you look at Ronald Acuna, that he has a ton of cards, so that makes sense that he would be on that list. And Shohei Ohtani being at the top of the list, that obvious. I feel like that's a pretty obvious one when it comes to the top seller. So now we're going to go to hockey. We'll go, and again, I think this list actually like a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago, maybe I did a similar podcast where I was talking about players, and there was a couple players on these lists that I was like, bro, these are kind of random. Which actually in basketball, once we get to the basketball list, there was one random name that I saw on there. So we're going to go with hockey next. It's Connor McDavid, number 1, Sidney Crosby, number 2, Steven Stamkos, number 3, Alex Ovechkin, number 4, and then Austin Matthews, number 5. I mean, those are, those are probably 5 of the biggest names within the sport. Crosby and Ovechkin kind of getting towards the end of their career. McDavid, Stamkos, and Matthews sort of in the peak of their career. I think Connor McDavid is on pace to break a lot of records within the NHL. We'll see what actually happens. I mean, I think he's like the type of player that's like, he's like the Steph Curry of hockey. In a way, because like whatever he does these, and Connor Bedard has been like that this year too, to be honest, but like he does crazy things and they go viral on the internet, and that's fairly rare for hockey, if I'm going to be honest. Now we'll go to football. We've got Christian McCaffrey, number 1, Drew Lock, number 2, number 3, Lamar Jackson, number 4, Patrick Mahomes, number 5, Trevor Lawrence. So we got a running back at the top of that list. And then Drew Lock, who's like come in for the Seahawks and been pretty good. But like we have a running back at the top of that list. And that, I guess, is kind of interesting because it's like, McCaffrey is really probably the only player that, like, I think Lamar Jackson's probably, like, I think I was looking at his odds, and I'm pretty sure Lamar Jackson is like, he has either the lowest odds or highest odds. I guess it was like minus 180, which, like, if you're a better, betting something minus 180, you might as well not even do it because it's like the value really isn't there. And I think with 2 weeks to go, I mean, I don't even really know, like, I don't know if Christian McCaffrey, unless Christian McCaffrey goes 3 touchdowns the next 2 games, like I don't see how he could win MVP realistically versus Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson, obviously number 1 seed in the AFC, but I just think that like it's cool to see a running back's cards at the top of a top selling list, because I've said this for a while. I think position players in the NFL are undervalued, and not undervalued in the sense that like, they're not going to go up as much in terms of their overall pricing like quarterbacks will if there's a crazy quarterback thing that happens. But I just think that running backs and wide receivers they're just as important as quarterbacks. And I get that they probably get hurt a little bit more, but McCaffrey is like on pace, again, I'm on pace, but he's like in such a crazy spot right now to be like one of the best running backs of all time. It's actually like pretty crazy how the trajectory I think that he's on. And to be honest, like again, he's also on the number 1 seed in the not the West, in the NFC. Either way, so now we're going to basketball. This will be the last one for the show. It's number 1, LeBron James. I feel like with the eras that LeBron James is in terms of how many sports cards are produced, I wouldn't be surprised if he overtakes Michael Jordan one day in terms of like how many cards are graded of that player. Michael Jordan's number 1. I think he has like 1.2 million graded by PSA, and I think LeBron was in the $500,000 range for total PSA graded cards. And I wouldn't be surprised if one day LeBron James passes him because of the eras, which I guess Jordan technically was in these eras as well, but LeBron was in the early 2000s era in terms of how many cards were produced, and now he's in this crazy era, like, this crazy new time where we have for sports cards. So like I said, not surprising he's up there. Ja Morant, number 2. I mean, he made his comeback. I'm kind of surprised that people are out here buying his cards, but that's kind of beside the point. And then this is the random name that I saw. So it was Kobe White at number 3. That's, again, a player who really like was one of those pandemic players that like insane amounts of cards graded by PSA, like insane amounts of cards produced by Panini. Again, another one of those players similar to Luka, who's number 4. Chet Holmgren, rookie this year, kind of doing something similar to what happened with Ben Simmons, where even though technically this is his second year, he was hurt for his first season, which means that he's going to be in the rookie conversation. It's been a lot of, you look at the rookie ladders, it's been him and Victor Wembanyama have been like kind of going at it. And then I think there's actually a rookie in Miami. I forget his name, but there is a rookie in Miami that I've seen kind of gaining a little bit of traction in terms of like people thinking that he could be like rookie of the year. But that's, these are the players that, and like I said, there weren't too many surprises on this list, but I think it's also just interesting to look at these types of lists and data. And I mean, for me, it's something that I am always interested in. I mean, I know, for people that are buying cards, it may not be super prominent or top of mind, or if they care of which cards sold the most. Like, they really only care about the cards that they bought. But I think if you're looking at if you're looking at pricing, if you're looking at trying to buy and sell, these lists are important to look at, because you need the data of what customers are buying and selling. Even if you're selling on eBay, or if you're selling in like a shop, or if you're selling at a show. Like, I think having these numbers are important in what you're going to be looking for inventory, potentially for the next show, or potentially what you're going to be looking for to sell on eBay, or however these people are looking to sell their sports cards. So recent developments in the Wander Franco story look really bad. Jeff Passan tweeted out some stuff. The updates are like way worse, maybe potentially, than even when we first initially heard about the news. And I don't know, it really, this thought, obviously with sports cards, it's maybe a selfish, it's maybe like I don't know, because obviously people were probably hurt in this scenario, so it's maybe not necessarily fair to compare our industry to this thing, and then obviously there has to be an investigation and all of these stuff, but it's like Wander Franco, apparently he's like missing or something. I don't know, it's really a wild story, but the concept for that, and it's not necessarily for him specifically, but it's a concept that I think is interesting and that stemmed from this story, was Topps potentially expanding their buyback program. With Wander Franco, I think that would be, I don't know. I mean, he was really kind of like the poster boy for a lot of the industry for a couple of years, to be completely honest. So, like, the Patriots did it, and this is not the same thing at all, but, like, the Patriots did it when Aaron Hernandez, got arrested for murder. Obviously not the same thing, but, like, you could bring your Aaron Hernandez jersey in and you could get a new jersey. And I don't think necessarily Topps would be able to do that with card to card, but like, what if they could do some sort of buyback program maybe with his cards? And I don't think that would even be really a good PR move, if I'm going to be completely honest. So, like, that's probably one of the major reasons why they would never do something like this. But the concept unfortunately, it stems from this story, and it stems from that topic. But the concept of a buyback program, I think, would be interesting for Topps to do, to build almost like a ComC style database for all Topps cards. Like, you can send your card, basically building ComC for Topps and Fanatics. Like, they building a platform where you can either do, and they could partner with breakers, so it's like same with like what I think like Golden maybe does this with breakers. I forget which companies do it exactly, but I know that there are companies where you can break and then they can send the card. No, it's PWCC. PWCC was working with certain breakers on more high-end products, obviously, but you can send your cards directly from the breaker to PWCC's marketplace, and you can have your vault and you can sell them all through there. But like, maybe Topps could build something where, if you want to send, like, maybe they just start with just rookie cards, because I think if they were to send, or maybe just rookie cards and inserts, like, I don't know exactly the concept or how they would do it, and this is really me brainstorming, honestly, an idea for Topps and Fanatics, and I don't know, I'm probably not going to get paid from them for this idea. If they do it in the future, just know that it's a concept that I think haven't really seen anyone talk about, so it's a concept that I think that I came up with. I don't know, but either way, so it's like Topps could do either a vault, or they could do a buyback program where they buy your rookie cards for, whatever the eBay market price or whatever the card ladder market price is, and then it goes onto their platform where they can do whatever they want with the cards. They can either relist them on their website, or they can get them graded, or they can put them into some sort of like bundle, or they can put it into some sort of thing where there's a marketplace ran by Fanatics and Topps. And I know that, well, it's owned by them, but it's owned by Fanatics and Topps, but it's run by people who are buying and selling. Basically, ComC for Topps cards, I think. And I think this would actually be an interesting concept for people who are trying to build sets, like, and they could even do like some sort of rewards program, like, if you collect all the rookies from 2023, you get a free hobby box for 2024 or something like that. Because I'm sure there's obviously going to be fees and stuff along those lines. But it's like, if, in this rewards program, if you buy all of the rookies, I'm sure that they could be like, well, this person probably spent X amount of dollars on all of these rookie cards. Even for them to produce the hobby box, I'm sure they're making money hand over fist when they're selling these cards and they're selling the product to, distributors and breakers and all these people. So I just look at it that way and I say, I think that would be kind of cool for Topps to do something like that. And maybe it's not even a buyback. Maybe it's like literally I don't know. I don't think they wouldn't really be able to buy Com C because there are non-Topps rookies on there, but build a Com C style marketplace with just Topps cards. And like I said, if it could be, they're doing full sets, so maybe it wouldn't be able to be just rookie cards, but maybe it's just rookie cards at first, and then they kind of expand it to all the rest of the cards as they kind of grow the operations and stuff along those lines. But I just think it would be kind of a cool concept if you could get rewarded, like the way that, because Fanatics already does Fanatics Sportsbook, they have a rewards program. Like they have sort of some, 1, 2, 3% on like a bunch of bets or whatever that they do. So I think it would be. And Fanatics has said that they want to be really the main distributor of these cards. So like building a marketplace is not something that I think is out of the realm of possibility. And these are just concepts. And I get that people probably look at that and say, well, we don't want the card companies also owning a marketplace where they're selling the cards. And I get that side of the argument as well. But if you're Fanatics, I just think that that's a kind of an interesting concept that you could try and implement into whatever you're trying to do. And it's like doing rewards and doing these things where it's like Fanatics sort of becomes, because, and I guess maybe one thing to think about is like before all of these companies were building marketplaces, eBay really was the only marketplace where you could buy cards. So it's like to say that, well, eBay and then stores and shows and stuff. So to say that there's never been a time in the sports cards where there hasn't been like a monopoly on the buying and selling of cards, I don't think is necessarily true. I think it quickly became diversified as soon as eBay kind of really got going in all of these things. But I think the concept of either doing some sort of buyback program where you can sell your rookie cards directly to Topps, or you can send them in and sell them to the market, I think that would be a good idea. I think there are tons of things, and unfortunately with this Wander Franco situation, that's sort of how the concept sort of stemmed in my head, and I don't know if they would be able to do that with the Wander Franco cards, because it's like not something you can really promote. You can't be like, hey everybody, like here's this thing, like maybe it's something where I don't know. It feels like that would be a PR nightmare for them. So I don't think they would do it starting with that. But I think if they were to start with like rookie cards and then continue on to build other sets, like if you build all sets and stuff along those lines, I just think it would be very interesting from that standpoint if Fanatics were able to step in and kind of build something like Com C, but just for Topps cards. Depending on, I guess, when you're listening to this, if you haven't claimed the Taco Fractor card, it's maybe already too late. I mean, it's, you still have a couple more days, but if you're listening to this piece on the Saturday recap, or if you're listening to this like on a Monday or Tuesday of the week after, Topps announced basically, which I guess this was probably part of the promotion, obviously, that like December 31st of this year was the last year that you can claim the Taco Fractor. If you have one of the Kendall Marte Taco Fractor cards from Topps Chrome, I believe it was. And if you don't remember, basically what it was there were the number to 5. There was like, I forget exactly how many players were on the checklist, but I think within the World Series, basically it was like whoever gets the first stolen base, you will then get Taco Bell for life. And I think, yeah, putting an expiration date on it, I guess, makes sense. I feel like they could have waited a little bit longer, if I'm going to be honest, with how, like, because Topps Chrome it feels like it hasn't been out for that long, and the World Series wasn't, well, I guess, it has probably been out for a little bit, because it definitely came out way before the World Series, but then the World Series was only, like, a couple months ago, so again, this is sort of one of the things that I think is interesting about these types of promotions. Like, if you're somebody, which I don't know how many, I don't know if anybody's ever tried to do this data, but there's probably no way you'd be able to pull this data, because it's like, you're not going to be able to pull data on how many people aren't on social media by doing a poll on social media, right? Like, because that's one thing of a numbers of, I wish I knew this number of people within sports cards that weren't on any type of social media, because this was a big thing, like with, Topps was putting out articles and stuff. And I mean, I just wonder how many people pulled that card potentially and just didn't even know what they even had. Like the Taco Fractor, like they didn't know, like I'm sure on the back it probably said go to Topps.com or something along those lines, but like they didn't really announce the Taco Fractor until closer to the end of the World Series. So it's like, I bet you I think there's only 5 of them, so there probably is some that haven't been pulled. Like, if they're putting an expiration date, I would imagine that means that all of the boxes have been distributed. Like, I can't imagine that, because I don't think Topps distributes all of their product all at the exact same time. They probably stagger it with other products, and they probably with other boxes, I suppose. At least I'm not 100% sure about this, to be honest, but it's just something like that I feel like that's probably the case. Like, they distribute it in like waves. Like, I'd probably guess there's probably 2 to 3 waves that they are distributing these Topps Chrome cards. And it could be that they put the expiration date because 3 or 4 people have they have come forward with their cards, with the get the Taco Fractors. And because I went to the link too. This was the other weird thing. Like, if you go to the link that Topps put out, it brings you some like weird site that like it just never ending scrolling. Like, it's like a weird animation, and there's no, at least from when I was looking at it, I didn't see any like redeem here or whatever. And I'm sure there's probably an article that you could Google search. But if somebody, I would be interested to know, and I'm sure maybe after the December 31st date, maybe Topps will come out and say, here's how many were redeemed, because this is maybe part of the other piece of this, like the money, like, and this is what happened, and this is sort of not really that, it's kind of related, I think. Like, back in the day, at Dunkin' Donuts in Massachusetts, when the Patriots would win, you could get either it was like a free medium iced coffee, or it was like a iced coffee for $1. You know what it was? I think it was free for a while, and then they did like they did 87 cents because that was Gronk's number. So what I have to imagine happened was the Patriots subsidized how many coffees would be ordered by doing this promotion. And I don't know where I'm not sure who was making money on it. Like, I guess I don't really know who would have been making any money on that. Like, if it was the Patriots making the money, or if it was, I don't know, or if it was Dunkin' Donuts. But in this case, there was definitely some money that the Patriots were paying Dunkin' Donuts to run this promotion. Whether they had to give some of the money back if they didn't hit all the numbers or whatever, I don't know. But this is the point I'm trying to get back with Topps. Taco Bell and Topps, there was, if there were 5, and I think the total was like $15,000 or something like that. So that would mean 60, 75. So like $75,000 essentially was either transferred, or it's somewhere. It's somewhere. And and obviously with the amount of people that redeem it, that number would go down, and there would be whatever $30,000 or $15,000 left over. So I'm just wondering, like, does that money, like, if I had to guess, the money probably has to roll over, like, for Topps or for Taco Bell. But again, in this scenario, it's like, are we going to see sports cards at Taco Bell? Like, it just seems like a very odd promotion that, like, maybe we see again, maybe we don't, but there is some sort of money somewhere that maybe isn't going to be spent because not all the cards were redeemed. And again, if Topps, it's maybe something where it's the promotion and some sort of legal thing where it has to be within a year that the money has to be distributed, or the gift card for with the money on it. Because I guess you would give it to Topps, so it must have been well, actually, technically, I would imagine there's probably no money changing hands. Like Taco Bell isn't giving Tops any money. Because that's one of the weird things within apps and within restaurants and fast food restaurants nowadays. They do this thing where you can get the app and you can put your money on the app and you can load it, but it's not like you can get the money back. So it's just like a weird filtering system of almost like a Ponzi scheme in a way, if I'm going to be honest. Like where, like here, Tops is maybe they're, I don't know, spending 10K or 5K and Taco Bell's giving them 15K. Like I said, I'm confused. And honestly, I think this is probably where I'm going to wrap things up because I think I'm just starting to confuse myself. But I just wanted to say, like, if you have these cards, make sure that you redeem them because you're missing out on a lifetime supply of Taco Bell if you don't redeem these cards in the next few days with Tops. Because like I said, Tops put that expiration date on there. And that's not even, I hate expiration dates on cards, any type of promotion within cards. Like redemptions is a whole nother story. Expiration dates on redemptions I think are stupid, and expiration dates on these types of promotions I think they probably could have extended a little bit, but like I said, I don't know the business side of it, so I don't really know what went into this promotion from Taco Bell's side or what went into it from Tops' side.